So you have been in D.C.
Yes.
this week, right?
Yeah.
And you often talk to the regulators about sort of plans for AI. Obviously, you're as excited about anyone as the possibilities and the opportunity.
Yeah.
What is the risk of regulation? What did they tell you this week? Are you more or less optimistic that our own regulators have the right tools and the right aims here?
Yeah, so most of the conversations were with Congress. Obviously, those in Congress trying to figure out where do we take AI regulation and what are the possible laws that we need to enact. Let me just TLDR it first. I'm actually very optimistic based on the conversations that I was involved in this week. I think we have a Congress that, while obviously many dimensions of it can be dysfunctional, I think there's a lot of productive conversation happening around AI. And one that is actually taking a very optimistic tone. The conversations are about the improvements in healthcare, in logistics, and education that AI can offer. And so there's a sort of general understanding that you don't want to over clamp down on this. You don't want to over regulate to the point where you could actually limit the progress that we can now see with AI. So I think it's actually a really great time to be having this conversation. It's very productive dialogue. And I'm optimistic that we will not see sort of over-regulation in this space right now.
And we've talked about this in the past, the idea that regulation should be handed down by, Washington itself, or you let industries regulate themselves, like you have a regulator in the financial services industry, et cetera. Are you optimistic that it will roll out that way, or that you're going to get Congress people sort of trying to hand down blanket regulation?
I think the general momentum, is increasingly that there's a lot of regulation already on the books around how we should deal with financial services and how we should deal with logistics and how we should deal with transportation, and that each of those agencies and the regulators around those industries are in a better position to understand the impact of AI than having some wholesale regulation about AI generally. I think the risk that we were starting to talk about last year that I was very nervous about is sort of wholesale regulation on AI, which is, we have to limit the performance of these models. We have to limit how many GPUs you can have in a cluster. That made no sense because we're way too early in the technology curve to be slowing down the rate of progress in AI right now.
You and I have talked a lot about the idea of job creation and AI or job loss. I want to play a soundbite for you from Larry Fink this morning, and I'll get you to respond on the back.
They're going to create new jobs, too. Think about all the needs for building out data centers and management. It's going to reshape our jobs. Let's be clear. Think about all the jobs that have been lost in society, whether telephone operators, even from, there's so many jobs that have been eliminated, but we have 3.7 unemployment. Over time, we create new jobs. And unfortunately, there's a timing differential. And in many cases, a geographic differential.
So a lot of people, when they think about AI, they hear either new jobs or they hear a loss of jobs, job destruction. I think the most important word he said was reshape, right? It's going to be different. This is something that you've talked about. When do we get that? Because it feels like even at the beginning of this year, we've seen even white-collar jobs, a lot of jobs lost at the likes of Google and Duolingo and some other tech companies. So how do you think that this evolves?
Well, to be clear, those jobs that maybe were lost really had nothing to do with AI.
But they kind of, Duolingo, for example, did call out.
Well, there might be AI that is sort of disruptive to a particular product that a company is offering, which could cause them to maybe not need as much. There might not be as much demand for a service. I'm not as familiar with that particular cut, but in general, the losses of the past year or so were just companies that honestly overhired for the growth rates. I think the real impact of AI. It's actually almost better to think about it at a micro basis than a macro basis, because the macro basis, you sort of say, how many people are in this particular part of labor and what happens to those jobs if AI kind of ran through it. It's actually better to look at it at more of a company level. If a company could make their salespeople more productive or their engineers more productive, then what's going to happen is those companies will actually have a greater demand for the services of those salespeople or those engineers. If I could make every salesperson inside of an organization 10% more productive, which means they can sell 10% more in terms of services for the same cost, we're going to hire more salespeople. We're not going to hire fewer salespeople. So when AI is actually used as a co-pilot or a way of augmenting the capabilities of an employee, you're going to actually see that the productivity of that particular function goes up, which means the demand for it will go up. There might be some movement of jobs in that process, in different parts of labor, but on a general basis, productivity, almost always inevitably creates more jobs in the economy.
Right.